Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this webinar uh, for AZ104. So, in this topic or in this webinar, I will tell you how we are going to start and what topics we are going to cover for 104, AZ500, and AZ700. And before that, I'll introduce myself and myself, Kumar. Full name is Vikas Kumar, and I'm a trainer for this networkings. And I have 17, 18 years experience into Microsoft and security domain. And in 17, 18 years, I started my life with Active Directory and security roles on servers, managing firewalls on Microsoft ISA firewalls in some years, and then work on different roles in IT industry till senior manager and different roles on technical sides. From training perspective, I'm a certified trainer from last 15 years, say 15 to 16 years, and Microsoft regional lead in APAC. Any new trainer comes in India, if they have any difficulty, they can directly reach out to me. And from training perspective, I teach advanced Active Directory courses, Azure, 104, 500, 700, and security courses on Microsoft, including Office 365 and Office 365 security. So this will be a hands-on training. So in this path, we will cover up three things. One is AZ104, which is a very important job-oriented module for anyone who working in IT industry and move towards cloud. So that's a very interesting and very important course. In this, we'll talk about complete information about VM management, network management, storage, load balancers, firewalls, then Azure AD, identity, and monitoring. So this will be a complete hands-on course for 104. And once it is done, it's normally have 11 modules. I will explain you all this about in few minutes. So if you search with the job market and other details, Indeed or Naukri, cloud engineer, support engineer, all kinds of roles available for AZ104. So now Microsoft training and Microsoft training and 104. So we will do this all 11 modules. I'll just give you a small introduction. So we will use Microsoft official data as I'm a legal trainer to use all this. So in this, the basic prerequisite for this course is the person should be in IT at least. And they know what is Azure login, how to do Azure login, and basic of IP addressing and basic stuff on premises. In short, he should have at least 2 to 3 years experience. Then only you can easily move towards cloud. And roles is anyone who is managing cloud, Azure, monitoring, management. If you want to manage networks, infrastructure, virtualization, OS, deployments, any kind of roles, it's applicable for this cloud administrator after this AZ-104. So the learning path from Microsoft is fundamental first, 104 first, second, and then move on to the next one. Next one can be a 305, can be a networks, can be a security, which we will discuss further about our journey. And from exam perspective, every component have approximately 20 to 25% weightage. And we'll start with identity, governance, security policies, compliance policies, how we manage Azure through a portal, PowerShell. We talk about networking, VNet, load balancer, firewalls, DNS, how to configure router in Azure, how to configure VPN services. Those things we'll talk about in these two modules. Load balancer. In load balancer, we'll talk about difference between Azure load balancer, traffic manager, front doors, and application gateway. How we deploy firewalls or load balancer with WAF, web application firewall for security, managing storage, virtual machine, deployment of PaaS services, basic of container, because container mostly is not in this class, how to protect, backup, and monitoring. So that will be the flow of 104. And then during this course, we'll use these diagrams. So any topic comes in this class, say example, how to do load balancers comparison. So in that case, I will open this load balancer concept, load balancer comparison. These diagrams I will use during this class, and which I'll give you a local access to all this data. Load balancer. And further, I'll give you lab to do all these lab exercise. Almost 281 files, 281 labs. And one of the lab is how to configure Azure load balancer. So proper screenshot, step-by-step guide to configure load balancer. Approximately 11 pages lab for this one. So that's the first journey. And same way, we'll continue with AZ 700, Azure Network Exam. So, so few topics definitely overlap, but we will cover full-fledged Azure networking as per Microsoft. This is intended for those people who are coming from Cisco or Juniper background and they want to be specialized on the network. We'll talk about firewall here, load balancer, other things. And then further AZ 500 for security. So for security, we'll talk about all the protection related to identity, data, application networks, how to improve security posture for Azure, and cover up all the parameters related to identity. In this, we'll talk about Azure AD, privileged identity management, identity protection, secure your network, how to connect VM securely, firewalls, NSGs, how to prevent from a DOS attack, how to configure DDoS services, how to connect storage securely, includes private endpoints, service endpoints, how to do encryption on the databases, and finally, security operations like how to configure Sentinel, SIM tool, how to move all the logs through analytics or log analytics. All those things is a proper measurement, skill measurement for AZ 500. So now these are the details. Recently, I covered one AZ 700 batch. This is the master folder for AZ 700. So in this batch, I'll just give you an idea. We started from network, jump box, private DNS, public DNS, peering, point to site, VNet to VNet, means site to site, VPN, gateways, express routes, gateway transit, virtual WAN, load balancer, application gateway, NSGs, Azure Firewall, Defender, just in time, DDoS, service endpoints. So proper day-wise, we cover labs. And all these labs I have given in the master folder to everyone. So this is the way I will create a master folder for AZ104 and 500. So this will be a complete hands-on course. So now I'll take one small demo to explain you how we can proceed from a topic perspective. So if I need to talk about networking as a start in Azure, so we need to deploy a component in Azure called virtual network. So virtual network in Azure is like a DHCP server. So we need to define some range we called as address space. So that time I will ask you, are you aware about basics of TCP IP, IP address? If anybody is not aware, I will explain basics of TCP IP, IP address also. So right now it's a webinar. So 10.10.0.0/16. 16 means my class B. Class B means we have approximately 65,000 IPs in this range. And as a best practice in Azure, for each application, you deploy a separate subnet. My first subnet is my gem box. Second subnet is my web subnet. Third subnet is my SQL subnet. Each application, you need a dedicated subnet. For this subnet, my range is 000/24. 254 IPs. It is 00. So next subnet will be 10. Next subnet will be 20. So as a best practice, each subnets, we should have a dedicated application. Tomorrow I need SAP. I have another subnet called SAP application, like that. And all these subnets always be a part of VNet. So this range cannot go beyond this. Now, when we deploy one VM in Azure, first 3 IPs are reserved. So first valid IP is IP number 4, based on the subnets. If I deploy a VM here, it's 10. So valid IP for VM is 14. And here it will be 24. And by default, communication between subnets always be allowed. It means VM1 can talk to 2, 2 talk to 3, and so on, because all this subnet is a part of single VNet. This VNet I am deploying in a data center location, East US. So my VM is also in a East US. If I want to deploy a VNet or VM in West US, this VM I cannot attach with this VNet because this VNet number 1 is in East US. If I need to deploy VM in West US, I need VNet also in a West US. In short, VNet and VM location should be on the same region. Any question for me so far? Yes,
Hello.
any question for me so far?
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, could you please let me know what is VNet?
VNet full form is virtual network,
Virtual network. Okay.
which is like your DSCP, like you know what is in DSCP, which give IP address to the VMs in Azure.
Question for you.
Yes.
So VNet, is it the same as like a virtual private VPC?
It's
Like Amazon?
like a VPC in AWS. Yes. Yes. Any other question? No? Okay. Now I deploy my subnet 1. I deploy my 3 VMs. Can you tell me what is the IP of this VM? First VM?
$10.0.1.0.
It is 00 subnet, so 0.4. Next 0.5. Next 0.6. Everyone knows DSCP concept. It give IP some 10 years, 10 days, something. Azure is giving 137, 136 years. So this IP by default is dynamic for 137 years. But if I shut down this VM, IP is released or free. And this IP, if I deploy another VM during this shutdown, this IP number 4 is allocated to this machine. This is one of the negative. So we recommend when we deploy a machine, we change this dynamic to static. So once we change static, then you shut down for 1,000 years also, IP will be same. So summary, IP is valid till the machine is on. If you shut down, IP is released. And if you deploy a new VM or another admin deploy a new VM, this free IP can be allocated to this machine. In production machine, normally we never change the IP. So it's recommended as soon as you deploy, please change to the static. Before this class, I was teaching to a Europe customer, AZ104. Same course. And I was teaching on this UK time zone. 5 o'clock UK. I'll finish that class. So now I'll take one demo. Whatever I explain to you, VNet. Let me show you first. So I'll delete this today's class workload. So in this today class, I deploy firewall, application gateway, load balancers, lots of things. So I'll delete this to save some cost. Now, I'll create a new resource group for this webinar. So AZ104 webinar for networking East US data center location. I'll create a VNet. Go to the VNet and create a VNet. So VNet for webinar. The first question is, what range you need? 10.172. So I'll delete this default subnet. I'm doing here is 172.16.0.0. 65,000 IPs, class B range, and deploy subnet number 1. Say Jumpbox 16.0.0/24. 254 IPs in subnet 1. Subnet 2. Web 10. And subnet number 3, SQL or database subnet 20. Validation fails. He's saying some error type, but he's not giving any error, means specific message. So close this, refresh. I have existing VNets. Let me see what range we have. 10 and 192. So I'll refresh this. Create. Press US2. So VNet for webinar 172.16.00.16 and subnet number 1 is my jump box. One subnet right now. So validation is saying failed. Refresh. It is a Microsoft backend error without any notification to us. So I'll do one thing. I'll try to change the internet and then we'll see. So research group. So I'll try to create virtual network. Ten 0016 and try to check. So right now it is giving any validation with the error. So this kind of error is typically from Microsoft. You see, anything is due, you are getting error. So it means there is a problem in the backend services. So I'll take my existing network only right now to explain the things. So which I have done in the morning class. So this is a very generic problem in Azure. For some time, you are not able to refresh the things. So now I have an existing VNet with address space, which I explain you on the screen. I have given this time 192.168.00/24 in this, and one subnet 192.0.0.24. So now when I deploy a VM, say 2019 server, so my VNet belongs to which region? That's very important. So my VNet is in West US, and my VNet name is Lab VNet, West US. So if I try to deploy a VM, say VM number 009, if I choose West US, username and password, RDP allow with a public IP? Because I choose my VM in the West US, so I'm able to select my VNet, which is in West US. And then you can choose your subnet. Now, review and create. And create. Now, this is my second VM in this VNet. So if I go to my VNet and West US lab VNet, connected devices, my first VM is a lab 2, the second VM which I have done 009. Can you see the IP, guys? First 3 IPs are reserved. So the valid IP is IP number 4. The next VM is IP number 5, right? Yes, guys? Any answer? Can you see on the screen? This is that lab VM. And my IP config when I do, my DSCP IP is 137 years. 2160 minus 2023, 136, 137 years valid. So now, what is the best practice I told you? Both the VMs are part of West US, same resource group. So it's your recommendation that we go to the VM, go to the networking, the VM which I created just now, go to the NIC card, IP config, go to IP config 1, which is a dynamic. And here we change static. Same IP, I'm changing as a static. And now you shut down this VM. After 100 years, you turn on, IP is still same, 05. Make sense? Yes, guys, make sense?
Yes, Kumar.
So, now, tomorrow, you need to see how many machines we have in this network. So you need to go to this connected devices. And you can see how many subnets we have. We can add more subnets, depend upon my overall range available or not. And when you deploy the VMs, example, just now I deployed VM 009. It's a day 1. So I put it a public IP. So I can connect this new VM with a public IP. But once we continue with day 4, day 5, something, right? This is the same VM. So then I will tell you, boss, first day is okay. First day, I cannot teach you Z for zebra. But when you are in day number 5, then I will tell you in my diagram, connect Azure VM securely. When I say connect Azure VM securely, then I will tell you in a VM, please don't configure public IP. Anybody over internet should not connect with the public IP. Connect Azure VM securely. For that, we use Jumpbox solution, Bastion host solution in clouds, or maybe you use VPN solutions. I am sitting on my office, my router, my VNet, Azure router, which I will configure and do the VPN short, and my subnets and my VMs are here. So I'm sitting in my office, Wipro, and I use private network to connect the VM. Yes or no? Yes, guys.
Yes, Kumar.
And this router in Azure is called as virtual network gateway. What we called as? And then I will tell you in day number 7 about site to site, how to configure site to site. And then before that, I will explain you in depth about how to configure the routers. What is public, what is private, all those full explanation on the router. So that's called the flow of the topics, when we start with the proper flow as per the slides, which I talked about, So, yes, any question for me? Yes, any question for me, guys?
Sir, Deepak here.
Yes, please.
Sir, is this the day 3 class you are running?
Day 3 means?
I
No,
joined
guys, it's a
today.
demo class. It's a demo class, and
Demo class.
next day we are starting with the day 1. It's just a demo, what we are showing right now.
Okay. So day 1 it will be from scratch level, na sir?
Correct, you're right.
Okay, done. Sir.
This is just I explain how Kumar is explaining the things, nothing else. What are the course outline? What is the way of my explanation? How I use the diagram and all those things. It's just
How long is the training?
which one?
This one.
This course complete?
Yeah.
So, guys, this is, if you shall talk about 104, this is close to 45 days. And if you're enrolling for the full-fledged like a easy 104, 700, 500, then it's gonna be around 3 months course.
Okay.
Okay.
Sir,
So-
what about the timings of the class, sir? Actually, my counselor said that it is for coming 3 days. It will be for, at 9:30, and afterwards it will start from
That
8:30.
Deepak, you have to check with the teams because we are not from the admission team. So you can check with them. They can help you with the further things. We are from the technical team.
Okay. Any other question for me? Technical question? Yes. What type of core topics cover? How to explain? I talked about all this details. Any other point, please?
Sir, one more thing.
Yes.
If you be bit slow, it will be helpful, sir, because I feel it is some fast.
Don't worry.
That's
That's my responsibility. Don't worry.
okay, sir.
Anything else?
Because some of the people is asking on YouTube whether they'll go for AWS or Azure. Who is a main importance in the market as of now?
So
Why
it's not
Azure? Why not AWS and all?
Yes, from ranking perspective, number 1 is AWS, no doubt, and number 2 is Azure. So end of the day, they can choose anyone as a first, but once they understand one completely, second will be easy for them. Or they can do AWS first and then come back Azure, that also fine. And second parameter is if you are on experience on Windows Server coming from Microsoft background, Azure is more easy for them to start with. That's another reason to decide. And third reason, if your customer or your company is using Azure more, you should go with Azure as another choice, another reason.
I have a question. So what are the things we need to like know before starting this Azure course? So just like some basic like DHCP concept and all this is something like we are not used to regularly. So what are the basic things that we
So
yeah.
yeah, so if you see my slide, right, which I explained you prerequisites, it should be in a